Hello everyone, I'm Chris Hernandez and this is the Weekly Report, a look at news from the city of Kansas City, Missouri. This week, the employees of KC Water's Wastewater Treatment Division celebrated 400 days without a serious injury accident resulting in lost time. The more than 100 staff at 6 wastewater treatment plants, 39 pump stations, and 14 flood stations have one of the best safety records going.
Celebrating 1 year of no lost time injuries, and in actuality today's our 394th day without any lost time injuries, which is probably, I don't know, 300% better than what our industry normally does.
And it's my goal, and hopefully the goal of the city, to make sure that all of our employees go home in as good a condition or better condition than they came to work in the morning, so they can take care of their families, be involved in the community, and most importantly, come back tomorrow and get the work done that needs to be done. So this is a great celebration. I'm proud of the work that this group's done, and I want to share it with the rest of the organizations.
This, in 47 years of my being in this industry, this is the safest crew, all 104 of us, that I've had the pleasure to work with.
In 2016, KC Water treated more than 32 billion gallons of wastewater, sending it back to the Missouri River cleaner than it was taken out. The City Council has approved putting an infrastructure repair program on the April 4th ballot. City residents will be asked to approve an $800 million bond program, which would repair existing city infrastructure such as roads, bridges, sidewalks, and flood control. The bonds would be paid back over 20 years and would involve a small property tax increase. The proposal includes changing the way the city repairs neighborhood sidewalks using the bond money rather than charging a special assessment to homeowners. It would also provide the city's share of funding to replace the outdated animal shelter in partnership with private fundraising. Downtown Kansas City was transformed last weekend when numerous landmark buildings turned their exterior lighting red to celebrate the AFC West champion Kansas City Chiefs. And although the Chiefs failed to secure a victory over the Steelers and move on in the playoffs, another electric performance also made the news. Friday night, the Kansas City Convention Center flipped on 50 new LED lights illuminating the sky stations atop Bartle Hall. Remember when one of the sculptures was repaired after a lightning strike last summer? While making those repairs, electricians discovered the lights needed to be updated. So we saved money by changing out all the lights. Now we have fewer lights and fixtures, and power consumption is being cut by 70%. An added benefit is that new computer programming allows for animated light shows and millions of choices of lighting combinations. Now let's take a look at what's happening around other city departments.
And today we're here at 25th and Prospect at the Animal Health and Public Safety Office, and we're here for a special occasion. We're here to actually honor a extraordinary, ordinary hero, citizens of Kansas City who on May 25th intervened in a dire situation in which one of our officers, Officer Elizabeth Meyer, was being assaulted by another citizen who was angry and for her doing her job as an animal control officer. And what we want to do is honor Mr. David Lyman. Again, he's actually an ordinary citizen who helped our officer and prevented her from having any additional harm done to her.
On May 25th, 2016, I was responding to a call about a neglect situation where a dog didn't have any food, water, or shelter. When I got to the scene, nobody was around. There was a dog in the middle of an empty lot with no food, water, or shelter. So I took the dog and put it on my truck. At that time, a gentleman started walking down the road in a very angry, upset manner, stating he was the owner of the dog and wanting to know why I took it. I was trying to explain it to him. The situation turned from distress to violent pretty quickly. He started blocking my entrance back into my truck. I was trying to leave. I kept telling him to back away. I could see people standing around recording it on their phones. I kept yelling at him to back away and kept yelling for help. And that's when he had taken me and he had pushed me up against my truck. And he grabbed my wrist and he had started to choke me and told me he was going to kill me. He was reaching in his back pocket for a weapon that he kept stating he was going to kill me with. At that time, I felt like I felt like all hope was lost. I felt like I was in a very bad situation that I didn't know how it was going to end up. Then it was like a ray of sunshine in a thunderstorm. Mr. Lyman had seen, he was driving by, he had pulled over, gotten out of his truck and ran over to help me. He pulled the guy off of me, and they were fighting on the ground for quite some time. And Mr. Lyman had gotten his truck stolen from the man, and the police went on a chase around the block for a while before they were able to finally get custody of him.
The young lady was being attacked and everything, and she was doing all that she could do just to stay out of the guy's horn when she was telling him he had to go to court to get his animal back, and he didn't want to hear that. He kept on, and he went on to assaulting her and choking her, and that's when I intervened and everything. And I'm just glad I could. But she was more courageous than I was, because she stood there and took the punishment that he was dishing out on her until I think he just overpowered, and that's when I stepped in to help along with her. But she was part of what went on, because she just took just as much as he gave her, and I think she did a wonderful job on her job. And she's part of our family now. We talk to her with our 5 girls.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime, you know that. Okay.
Welcome to our Penn Valley Park Wayfind signing unveiling, and what that means is we're just getting started. So we have a great display of the sign system behind us that we're going to unveil shortly, but it's also a start of work too. We have a lot of work to do, but this is a great way to kind of indicate what the future is going to be in the sign system. But at the same time, we're going to have a lot more signs as time goes on, and we'll talk a bit more about the details associated with that. I'm Mark McHenry with KC Parks and Recreation Department, and again, welcome to Penn Valley Park. The first individual I'd like to come up and, or at least ask to make some comments, and that's Diane Burdett, she's the Executive Director for Maine Corps. Diane.
Hi. Good morning, or lunchtime, I guess it is. How do you say good lunch? Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. I'm so grateful for this day to actually be here. We started about 10 years ago, and I know that's really probably hard for people to believe, but in 2006, when the Federal Reserve Bank decided to move into this location, there was some thought that perhaps there may be a TIF underneath that property and they were not going to use it. There was a group of folks that thought maybe we could capture some of those dollars and do great public improvements within Penn Valley Park and then along the corridor on Main Street. And so what we did is we worked with a group of folks called the Friends of Penn Valley at the time, and kind of came up with a list of priorities. And one of the priorities is what we're going to be talking about today. And so we are so excited that 10 years later, I think all of the projects within that TIF amendment are going to be completed, or at least being unveiled anyway.
The mission of the Conservancy is to restore, enhance, and preserve historic Penn Valley Park as an urban green space for everyone. And one of the issues that came up when we first got started is that nobody knew where Penn Valley Park was, and nobody knew where anything was in Penn Valley Park or how to get to it. So we are very honored and surprised to have this unveiling of the signage program that will enhance the visitor experience, but also give a stronger sense of place for Penn Valley Park. We would not have been able to do this program, of course, without Diane and Maine Corps, with her foresight and determination in deciding that we needed signage and getting the funding to do the signage. And with the Parks Department's support, Mark McHenry and staff, especially Jimmy Losing, and the crew that helped design the signage to get us a program that we are very proud of, and we hope will may become the standard for the other parks, historic parks within the city.
So this is kind of the culmination of projects, the sign system. Funds went into the Just Off Broadway Theater that's part of Penn Valley Park. Funds went into, of course, work we did here recently at the National War I Memorial and Monument Museum, made that all happen. And a lot of other great things have happened in the park. Since the time back to 2006, we've made improvements over the firefighters fountain. We've added some additional art as part of the 1% for Art program. We put in a skateboard park. We've made improvements to Penn Valley Drive. We have, in the wayfinding part of it, and is this a wayfinding sign? Is that? Okay. It's a big one, guys. Pedestrian, there's 20 of those. And there's also going to be 20 that are double-sided. And so there's vehicular signs and pedestrian signs. So if you're driving through the park, you can find your way around. If you're walking through the park, you can find your way around. then we have destination signs. That means like when you get to some spot, it tells you where you are, right? So destination does. We have individual signs for that, and of course, as we indicated, some of the venues here in the park will then be clearly identified. And then we have some secondary signs. They have stone columns placed at secondary locations. I think that stone column back there is one of those. Is that part of that? Okay. So with that, I think the next thing I see on the program, I want to thank Heidi for organizing our event here today and planning some great weather, and Jesse, who's behind the Nikon camera, who's going to put all this in video and probably a few still shots. We are now to unveil the sign. Is that right?
1, 2, 3.
Whoa! Good work.
Good job.
All right, that's it, guys.
The Neighborhoods and Housing Services Department updated residents this week on progress in redeveloping the Linwood Shopping Center at Linwood and Prospect. Phase 1 work starts in February to install a new roof as well as renovate heating and cooling systems. By early summer, Phase 2 will start, which involves tearing down the grocery store portion of the shopping center, and then construction starts on a brand new grocery store.
A year ago, over a year and a half ago, the mayor made a promise that the city was going to revitalize and redevelop the Linwood Shopping Center, and he meant that, and we meant that too. A lot of things have happened, and I know for some people it's been a little slower than what we wanted it to occur, but we've been working behind the scenes. Of course, we had to acquire the site. We had to acquire the site from the owner, which we've done. We had to find the money, which we've done, and we're now in the process of signing contracts with the developers, in which we're doing to the point that we're going to actually start work within, I would say within 60 days, you'll see some work over at the Linwood Shopping Center.
Another community meeting will be held on January 24th at 6 p.m. at the Morningstar Youth Center at 27th and Prospect.
The Turkey Creek Wastewater Pump Station has been in service since 1962, and none of the equipment has been replaced since then.
Thank you to all the men and women of KC Water. While we know that water is our most valuable resource, it is often taken for granted by the public at large, but it is vitally important to every Kansas Cityan. I appreciate your hard work and commitment to providing great water services. Looking back over the past year, we've accomplished a lot, and these accomplishments have been noticed locally, regionally, and nationally. To all of our customers, I want to say thanks for letting us serve you. It's a privilege and an honor.
The Metropolitan Ensemble Theater, located at 3614 Main Street, is in its 12th season. It's supported by the Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund. Their new play, Photograph 51, opens on January 19th. Here to tell us more about the play and about the Metropolitan Ensemble Theater, also known as the Met, is founding and producing artistic director Karen Paisley. Karen, thank you for having us here at the Met.
Thank you for coming.
And Karen, you started the Met in 2005.
Right.
You're not from Kansas City, so what made you decide that Kansas City was a place that you wanted to set up shop for the Met, and what inspired you to start the Met?
Well, we started in part because we were actually already here. I came originally because the Kansas City rep did a national search and found me and brought me here, and I worked for them. But at that time, I had already written the plan for this company and began to develop it and continued to work on it, and took classes at the block school and that sort of thing. And what Met is about is kind of returning the great plays to everybody and fostering new talent and new plays and kind of trying to create a real grassroots access point for everybody to have the ability to see, do, make great plays all the time. And so that's what we're about. So we started the company in 2005. It's kind of a cool story. We had $1,000 and that's all we had. So you really can't mess up much if that's all you have. And then we moved to another space in the Crossroads and then ultimately came here. And then we'll be on the road again. Why Kansas City? I think Kansas City in some ways is uniquely placed, both metaphorically and really. I mean, if you're talking about plays that belong to the heart of the country, truly the heart of the country, to all of us, it is kind of perfect that we were here.
Well, tell us about Photograph 51.
Okay. Photograph 51 is a premiere about Rosalind Franklin, the often forgotten and frequently not even known about scientist who actually took the photograph that then Watson and Crick were able to base their model on, that took them all the way through unraveling the DNA helix and ultimately winning the Nobel Prize. She was a woman at a time when there weren't a lot of women scientists. She was a brilliant woman. Probably not the easiest person to deal with, though I think people who knew her well would say that she was really very pleasant, a lot of fun, and a great friend. In her work environment, she was extremely focused, a brilliant scientist. She was much less interested in being liked than in being right. And she was extremely diligent. So I think in a world of, particularly a world of men at that time, it was hard for a lot of people to really get a handle on her. But we didn't altogether take her work or her contributions into account. And it seems that we kind of leapt over her. And by the time Watson and Crick were winning the Nobel Prize, she had died. So of the original team who were recognized at that point, she was the only person who wasn't there to say, this is what I did. This is my contribution. And it's easy, if you happen to be the one not at the table, to not get mentioned in the final count.
The company has gone through a lot of growth and a lot of change over the last few years, and you're about to embark on another phase of your growth and change. Can you tell us about what's happening just down the road?
The Warwick Theater, for those of you who may not know, is at, I think it's 3927 Main Street. It's right at the intersection of Westport Road and Main Street. And it's a beautiful old movie theater from 1912. We decided a couple of years ago that we really needed to be looking for our next home, which would be our permanent home. The Warwick hasn't been a movie theater since 1953. But I think we'll be able to make it into a place that is a beautiful home for plays and for people. I think it has enormous potential.
Well, congratulations
Thank you.
on that accomplishment. That's going to be a big.
Now we just get to restore it.
Yes.
So there's that.
Well, and if anybody wants more information about any updates to your new location and ticket information and educational programs, where would they go?
They can go to the website and send a comment there. That's easy, which is metkc.org. You can also walk in the door at 3614 Main, which is where we are now, where we will be for the remainder of the season. You can get on the phone at 816-569-3226. And those are pretty much the best ways, and then Facebook would be your last way.
Okay.
Just kind of follow up with us if you need us then.
All right. Well, thank you for all that you do in the community and for sharing all the works.
Thank you for coming and visiting us. And thank you especially for the city and what they're doing with NTDF. That program has made such a difference for us. It made it possible for us to do so much more than we could do before. It really makes a difference.
Great.
The Neighborhood Tourist Development Fund supports local nonprofits that bring cultural, social, educational, and recreational activities to our area. To learn about additional upcoming events, visit kcmo.gov/ntdf.
Autism and art probably aren't things that people usually associate together, but a new exhibit at the American Jazz Museum does just that. Spectrum, Autism, Art, and Music features digital artist Juliet Hemingway and her son Javari, who was diagnosed with autism at age 10. This exhibition brings new experiences for our visitors by increasing awareness of the importance of art and health. The exhibit is now on display through the end of April. For more information, visit their website at americanjazzmuseum.org. That does it for this edition of the Weekly Report. To view this program again or other Channel 2 videos, go to kcmo.gov and search Channel 2. That page has a link to our YouTube channel, and there you can view all of our programs on demand. I'm Chris Hernandez. We'll see you next time.